We're joined by Aaronica Cole from her home in Atlanta, Georgia, Addie Fisher from her home in Dallas, Texas, and Tyler Chanel from her home in Los Angeles, California. Ladies, welcome. I just love hearing all of your voices in that piece. So thoughtful and so intentional about this whole responsibility that we honestly have. Aaronica, growing up in New York, you say your family, they were green before anyone knew it. You and Kermit knew how cool it was to be green growing up. What did they tell you?
So we actually didn't, it wasn't like we're doing this because it was just a natural way of life for us. One of the things that I just remember was always finding a different use for everything. So upcycling was so big for us, and making sure that we gave back to the world and gave back to the earth. It wasn't like a thing of, oh, we're going to be eco-conscious today. It was, no, this is what we do, you know? And I think that it just being so natural and it really being a lifestyle is really important and was groundbreaking for my raising. And
I can relate to that. For me, it was gardening. We always had a garden.
Yeah.
We always had, and my dad planting tomatoes and okra, always in flowers. It was just a big part of how I was raised, being outside and enjoying and appreciating it. Addie, you were sustainable also before it was cool. Your grandmother taught you the responsibility of it. What did she say that resonated and plays a role even in your life today, raising your family?
It was always by action. We always reused everything, even if it didn't look like it was supposed to be reusable. Even if the package said, one-time use, we washed it and reused it. We had a clothesline, and I thought, it's the most fun thing to run through clothes when you're a little child. And now it's kind of forbidden by house associations, but it's starting to make a comeback.
Tyler, you're new to this. About 3 years ago, you made a transformation in your life to a more eco-conscious lifestyle. Was there a moment in particular where you recognized, listen, I need to do a little bit more here, and it can be cool?
Yeah, so I was addicted to shopping. I love fashion, so I was at the mall every weekend, and I didn't realize that was problematic until I watched the documentary, The True Cost. The documentary really highlights some of the problems in the fashion industry. So after watching that, I said, okay, I need to make a change. So I got into thrift shopping, and that was my way to still be able to shop some of the beautiful fashion trends without having to spend a ton of money, and being able to be conscious about my impact on the environment.
I know you've got a wedding coming up, and listen, that is not the most eco-friendly thing. The ease of it often is in the excess of it. Have you been conscious with the wedding?
Yes, you're so right. I worked in the wedding industry for 3 years, and it can be very wasteful. Some things I'd like to do with my wedding is I'd like to either wear my mom's old wedding dress or, of course, thrift a dress if I can find one. There's a lot of great online websites where you can buy secondhand dresses. I also would love to thrift some decor, and I am thinking about using Evites rather than actually sending out paper mailers. And then the other thing I might do is try to find some ways to get sustainably sourced flowers, and using flowers that are in season is a great way to lower your impact on the environment.
Right, and I always tell people, I love farmers market. I try to do the local, what's fresh local versus being tempted to get a fruit that's not regional to my area. What's behind you, Tyler, on the rack there? Are those things that you thrifted?
Yes, this is my thrifted wardrobe. I would say about 80% of my wardrobe is thrifted. Everything else is from ethical companies. So I love thrifting. I feel like shopping secondhand is a great way to be impactful and make a difference when it comes to being sustainable.
Right. Aaronica, you have 3 children. I said at the beginning of the show, all of my son's clothes are from a shop that only has sustainable clothing. And people think, okay, if it's sustainable, it can't be cute. Or if it's sustainable, it must cost a fortune. And those things aren't true. Even in the toy world, I try to get the wooden toys for him.
Yeah, so sustainability as far as even clothing goes has come such a long way. Whereas, where it started out, people were kind of donning brown sacks. Now we have colors, and we have, different things. We have more sustainable paints, which means that we can decorate these wooden toys in a way. We have more sustainable dyes. So now, kids are walking around just looking phenomenal in all of these colors. And of course, even if you're not shopping sustainably or from a sustainable, like specific shop, there's always hand-me-downs. Like my kids love to hear the history behind the clothes that they get. In fact, like I have a niece who's exactly a year older than my oldest, and we always have a box of clothes for my oldest to wear. And when we start to pull out these things, my son is like, well, what about me, Mom? Like, why don't I have like a box of hand-me-down? Because I have like the boy in the family. And, you know, so that's like our norm. That is our absolute norm. So they love to hear the stories behind clothes. They love to hear, you know, even my middle child who wears my oldest clothes. And I'm like, oh, I remember when she wore this. And I remember when her big cousin wore this. So I think that even, having the stories behind the clothing from previously worn clothing just gives it so much more like personality, right?
Right, because, you know, let's be honest, hand-me-downs got a bad rap. People were like, I don't want my hand-me-downs. And you're like, wait a minute, this is cool, or this has a story. It's how you present it to the child or the person who's receiving it.